Hi, everyone. We are at the midpoint of this course, so I wanted to pause for a second and check in with everyone. Let me start by saying everyone is doing really well. I appreciate seeing the growth in each of your assignment entries that demonstrate your evolving understanding of the principles of this course. But I do want to just kind of talk about a couple things where there has been maybe repeat feedback. So I just want to make sure in a very quick video, so I'm going to try to go through this quickly, we just have an opportunity to clarify a couple things and just to make sure we are all on the same page. At this point, everyone understands that a strategic map should include four categories: financial, customer, internal processes, and organizational capacity. When we talk about customers can also mean client, stakeholder, buyer, community, or patient. So it is. So there are two different ideologies around this, and for some of you, you may have gotten this feedback in one of your paper. But customer can be the person who is being served, which is the ideology of the individuals who wrote our textbook. But another thinking around customer, and this is just from professional experience, it can also be the buyer. So it is the person who is purchasing the server, and those two are not always the same. Because we have several people who are in academia, I'll use academia as an example so given that if the customer is the person being served, then that means that the student is the customer. However, if the customer is the buyer and the parent is paying tuition, then the parent is the customer. So, whichever ideology you think fits the organization that you are, either the personal organization you work for that you've been doing your assignments around, or even in your group projects, either is okay as long as you can defend your position in your paper. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Your objectives should include an action verb. So objectives outlines what will be done. Given that, it should include an action verb. So for example, we'll just go to the next slide here. You wouldn't say billable rates, you would say increased billable rates, or you wouldn't say professional staff providing therapeutic support. If that was your example, you would say increase the number of professional staff providing therapeutic support. So as you think about your objectives, those objectives that are either in your papers or the objectives that you are articulating in your strategy map, they should all include that action verb. So here is an example. This is completely made up, but it's of outcomes for an organization that provides mental health services. So from an organizational capacity standpoint, there are two objectives: increase the number of professional staff providing therapeutic support. And then we have another one here: upgrade technology tools. If we do that, if the organization can achieve those goals, what internal processes would need to be developed to support that? So for now, let's just look at increasing the number of professional staff providing therapeutic support. So what are some of the internal things that can be done that would help reach that organizational level goal? Well, one, they can provide tuition reimbursement for anyone pursuing an LCPC or LCSW. They can include professional development, allowable cost for the prep exam or to take their licensing exam. There are probably other things that we can include here with respect to college, recruiting individuals out of college, or if they're getting their graduate degree, recruiting from graduate programs. So there are probably other things we could add here, but for the purposes of this, we're going to just look at those two. So adding the prep course or paying for the actual exam as allowable costs for the individual professional development dollars, and maybe even doing tuition reimbursement for the LCPC or LCSW. How will that impact the customer? So when we talk about increasing the professional staff providing therapeutic support, how does that impact our customer? And in this instance, it's the patient. So the The customer objectives are improve quality of care, increase overall patient satisfaction survey results, and improve customer retention. If we accomplish that, how does that impact the financial objectives? Well, one, if we have professional staff with certain credentials, then it increases the billable rate per hour per patient. In addition to that, we could probably also add some financial strategic outcomes relevant to having patient retention or repeat visits, and being able to bill for that. And that would impact the organization financially. So these are objectives for each of the categories that would go into the strategic map. So let's take a look at the strategic map here. So under organizational capacity, we have increased the number of professional staff providing therapeutic support. The rule for strategic mapping is that there has to be upward arrows communicating how each of the objectives are related. There should not be what is called a hanging objective or an objective that is not linked. If it is not linked, and honestly, the most important linkage is organizational capacity. If it is not linked to an organizational level goal, then we shouldn't be doing it. It shouldn't be happening at that organization. All of this is connected to the overall organizational level goals. Okay. So let's look at some of the linkages here. Okay, I've got some funny business going on, but I think we can figure it out. Here we go. So the first one is increase the number of professional staff providing therapeutic support. If we do that, what is the internal processes that will allow us to achieve that objective? Well, we identified two already: providing tuition reimbursement and then providing professional development dollars for the course prep exam and to take the actual exam itself for individuals, professional development dollars. What would that impact? So if we are able to increase the number of professional staff through these internal processes that are being implemented, then that will allow us to improve customer care. That should also impact higher patient satisfaction surveys, and that should also improve customer retention. So your arrows would show a connection to both of the internal processes if they are impacting, there is an opportunity for them to impact each of those areas for the customer or the patient. And of course, if we improve quality of care, we have higher patient satisfaction surveys, and thus improving customer retention, then we are increasing our billable rates and we are increasing the overall revenue generation. And so we want to show areas connecting there. Your map should be dynamic in this way. So for each organizational level goal, what internal processes are supporting that? If we impact those internal processes, how does that impact our customer, client, patient, community, buyer, end user, right? And if we do that, how does it impact the organization financially? Now, typically, there is more than one organizational capacity objective. So here, just for the sake of demonstration, we will also include upgrade the technology tools. And then the internal process would be to implement a new medical records technology. And then we would go into being more effective, more efficient for the healthcare providers, easy access to information for the patient. Of course, now we can start drawing arrows from that to, if patients have easier access to their own medical records or their personal doctor has easier access to help coordinate care, then we're looking at higher patient satisfaction, improved quality of care. So now we've got even more arrows that are connecting upgrading technology to all of these customer outcomes. Okay, I won't draw all of those because then this map wouldn't be legible, but it would be accurate because that is how dynamic the strategic map should be. I want to talk about one other thing, and that is on the organizational level chart, you have individual contributors, managers, directors, and then you have the leaders in the organizations, which is often the C-suite, the board, etc. If someone is an individual contributor, the thinking is typically on the task level. If you are a manager or director, the thinking is typically on the department level. And of course, leaders should be thinking at the organizational level. For all of you all in this program, you are earning your MBA or your MOL. So your intentions are to prepare for organizational, to be higher on the organizational chart within an organization. So your degree is preparing you for that. Your thinking should be on that level. So a couple times I'll make a comment, how does your department support the organizational goals? How do your tasks support the department, which are supporting the organizational goals? Strategic planning is an organizational level thinking task. And so at any point, if someone says the organization you're supporting, what are their goals? You should be able to articulate that, because understanding the organizational level goals helps you support the organization irrespective of what level you are personally contributing or functioning. So I just want to stress that organizational level thinking is where, honestly, everybody that's in this class should be transitioning, irrespective if you're an individual contributor, if you're a manager, if you're a department head. We should be thinking at the organizational level. What are the organizational level goals? And how do my personal contributions, either from a task perspective or my department, how are we supporting the organization? And it doesn't matter what your program, project, or your business unit is. Everybody should be able to articulate, my organization for the next 3 to 5 years is focused on. And my department supports that by providing A, B, C, or X, Y, Z. And if you don't know that, that's probably a really good conversation to have with your immediate manager or leader. And I will tell you, it will also show that you have interest in not just your tiny slice of the organization, but you are really thinking in a way that makes you someone viable for upward mobility. But this is, I'm moving on to that's different. But I just wanted to talk about that strategic planning requires organizational level thinking. Oh, a different class. Let's go back. The other thing I want to mention is your KPIs. I think everybody's already heard of KPIs, so I don't think this was like a new concept for everyone. But be sure your KPI can answer the what, the why, and the how. Why are you measuring this? It should be because it's one of the objectives. What are you measuring? And then how are you measuring it? So in other words, I can say that I want to increase professional staff providing therapeutic support, but how am I measuring that? And that one is, of course, easy to identify, like 15% of our staff providing therapeutic support have their licensing credentials. We want that to be 25%. We want that to be 40%, okay? The use of technology tools, again, how are you measuring that? You should be able to say full implementation by the end of 2023, and the retirement of the legacy system, and all users have migrated to the current technology. It has to be definitive, not, oh, we just want to improve. No, improve is your action verb for your objective. The measure has to be specific. How will you know that you have won or you have achieved that particular objective? What is a definitive measure that everyone can look at and see that it has occurred? Okay, so hopefully this video is not too long. I tried to keep it short and hope I wasn't talking too fast. I'm gonna go ahead and post this and I will see you guys online. Thanks. Bye.